Huge news on Rocky Top today that should have Vol fans pretty excited. Five-star quarterback Nico Iamaleava announced his commitment to Tennessee earlier today. This is a potential program-changing player for the Vols. Iamaleava is ranked 7th overall in the class of 2023, and he's the 4th-ranked quarterback. He's now visited Tennessee twice, most recently back in March. That's when he really fell in love with this place. The Long Beach, California native chose the Vols over Georgia, Alabama, Oregon, and Miami. He comes from a pretty big family, which weighed massively into his decision to choose Tennessee, saying the university and the staff made him feel right at home right away.
He checks all the boxes. I mean, the first thing that you notice is his arm. He's got probably the strongest arm, I think, in his class. They're going to love him in Knoxville. They're going to fall in love with him as a young man and as an athlete. Great with his teammates. He's great with the fans. He gives people time. He's very grateful. Man, he's a special talent.
Iamaleava has one more year of high school football left. Then we will see him in the big orange and white.
It was massive. 18-year-old kid, a 17-year-old kid that had a million offers, was a 5-star, probably could have gone anywhere in the country, and he chooses Josh Heupel, who at the time, had only been here maybe 2 years. So it was a really big deal.
Tennessee, is known for its offense, especially under Josh Heupel. Josh Heupel is a former quarterback. I feel like, Tennessee kind of, when I got here at least, was known to bring in, highly touted recruits.
National Signing Day can be a funny thing because we already knew most of these recruits were coming to play football at Tennessee, but now that things are official, Vol coaches can finally speak on their incoming recruits. Some of them are already practicing with the team. That includes 5-star QB Nico Iamaleava. Tennessee's top commit has had fans excited all season long, and head coach Josh Heupel has been impressed with what he's seen from Nico.
He can already start to correct himself. He understands when something happens, why it's happening. That's only going to continue to heighten. And obviously, the raw skills are there.
5-star quarterback or not, don't expect to make a seamless transition from high school to Tennessee's playbook.
But when you actually in the offense, it's a whole different ball game. So just getting that tempo down is way different than just watching it from the stands.
And the Vols don't need Nico to jump right in and play. Tennessee will start this season leaning on seasoned veteran Joe Milton, someone Nico has been leaning on as well.
Yeah, Joe's been great. Like a big brother to me when I first came here. Yeah, man, he really just rallying all the troops around us, getting everybody to buy in with what he's trying to build and what the team's trying to build. So, yeah, Joe's been great for me and a great big brother to me.
I always told Nico when he first got here, ask me whatever you want. I've been through it all. I've been through adversity, to ask me whatever you want. He want to know everything I know, so I help him out.
The orange and white game has wrapped up here inside Neyland Stadium. Frank, one of the storylines we had coming into this game, we were watching very intently as much as all these other fans because they were hooting and hollering when he came into the game for his first series, was how freshman quarterback Nico Iamaleava would do.
But overall, I was impressed with him. He looked really mobile. I think that part of the scouting report lived up to the hype. Outside of the pocket, he looks super comfortable. And inside the pocket, he did some really nice things. I think overall, it's probably a little more than you might have expected.
Joe Milton was the starter, but my colleagues filled me in on who that backup was, and even if he were at appearances or things like that, we would go to them even if he wasn't starting because we knew that eventually he would get his time and he would play.
The Vols are coming off a huge blowout win against the UConn Huskies. It was a historic day for backup QB Nico Iamaleava, who scored his first career touchdown as a Vol. Transfer tight end McCallan Castles was on the other end of that score to put the Vols up 56-3. The two players are both from California and have a close bond on and off the field. Castles said he was so happy to be on the receiving end of that touchdown, and it's something he'll remember forever.
Just for him to go out there and kill it the way he did was awesome to see, especially I practice, get most of my reps with him every day, so it kind of just felt second nature, and he was spinning the ball out there, and for me to catch it was a big deal. I kept the gloves. I had him sign it today, so those will probably be hanging up in my house after his career here, so pretty cool.
Tennessee in that year, obviously they didn't beat Georgia, they didn't beat Bama, they didn't beat, they didn't have the best year in the SEC when it came to SEC play. So I don't think it was a surprise that he wasn't in a lot of games. And then obviously when Joe Milton declared for the draft, opted out of the Citrus Bowl, and then Nico got his chance.
Nico Iamaleava will make his first career start here in Orlando on January 1st when the Vols take on the Iowa Hawkeyes. And oh my goodness, Vol Nation is so excited to finally see what this freshman can do on the football field in extended snaps. We've only seen him play in limited snaps through 4 games during the regular season where he came in where the Vols were up by a lot at the end of games. That will not be the scenario here. He'll be coming in and starting against what is a top 5 defense in the country in Iowa.
He's been the guy all throughout bowl prep. He's done really well for himself. Like Coach said, he doesn't really handle himself like a young guy. So, you know, we've had a good few weeks here to gel and combine and give him a chance to get ready for the game. He's done a really good job, and, you know, he's done the best he can with it.
Even Iamaleava said earlier this week, his focus is not just on playing well. He really wants to be a leader for this Vol football team. True freshman or not, he feels that is the responsibility of the quarterback.
Whenever we found out that Nico was going to start against the bowl game, and as a fan, you're like, oh my gosh, it's this 5-star from California. He's supposed to win us a national championship. So that was probably the first time that he really came to the forefront. And then you saw him play in the bowl game, and he was fantastic.
Frank, we talk about this win, and it's significant to close out the season, getting a win against a top 20 football team, and not just beating them, absolutely smoking them, 35-0 on both sides of the ball. Good way to finish the season 9-4.
I think it speaks to the culture that we have inside of our building, our locker room. You know, the challenge is great. The standard is to win championships at Tennessee. Nobody shies away from that. We got to continue to grow to put ourselves in a position to go do that.
And this is what they thought was going to be their quarterback for a long time. You know, he was a true freshman playing in that Citrus Bowl, and he blew them out of the water. Obviously, he's worked for that all season to have that moment at the end of the year, but to have it on full display for Tennessee fans to see, you could tell it was special.
There were a lot of question marks in Tennessee's depth chart on Monday afternoon, but one certainty is that Nico Iamaleava is the Vols' undisputed QB1 heading into the season. That means on Saturday, the redshirt freshman will be making his first ever start in the friendly confines of Neyland Stadium. And according to some quick research, the last freshman QB to start a season opener for Tennessee was Brent Schaefer back in 2004. 20 years ago.
Year 2 is going to be my year, and, you know, go time for me, and, you know, I'm ready.
Tennessee fans were optimistic that quarterback Nico Iamaleava would be good this season. But for a redshirt freshman and his first start inside Neyland Stadium, I don't think they expected him to be that good. It seemed like Nico could do no wrong in this season opener against Chattanooga. He led the Vols to a 69-3 blowout win, and he made some history while doing so. Nico went 33 of 44 for a whopping 413 yards and 3 touchdowns. Just in the first half, he had 314 yards alone, which breaks the record for most passing yards in a half by a Tennessee quarterback.
And it was the Nico Iamaleava era. Like, that was the start. Those first few non-conference games where Tennessee was putting on, like, 63-point performances. The hype, I mean, they loved him. They embraced him. They were excited to see him. It's finally his time to shine.
You can see him, you know, very much more confident in what he's doing and more accurate. So I like how he's grown. That's a tough duty to come in and be a freshman quarterback.
I would describe Nico as a quiet leader. He was never the most vocal guy on the offense. Whenever we talked to his coaches, whenever we talked to his teammates, we would ask them because we were curious, like, your quarterback is supposed to be your leader. Your quarterback is supposed to be a vocal guy. What's it like not having someone like that? And they were like, well, it's just a different approach. Like, we balance everything out. He still, you know, is a leader. It's just in a different way.
I think he did a really good job not only being a leader on the field in the locker room, but also the way he conducts himself off the field. It's exemplary to how he should be, and he's had to mature really fast, which is difficult, especially with a ton of pressure. But you know, he's handled everything really well, and I think that's helped set us up to be where we are today.
I think that's been me for the beginning of this season, man. Was for me to take that that jump. It's been what I expected. Yeah, I had 2 great mentors in front of me, Hendon and Joe, and yeah, man, they laid down the foundation for me, and it was cool for me to come in and pick up right where they left off.
It was a good season, 10-2. Nico led Tennessee to its first ever college football playoff.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is officially game day in Columbus, Ohio. The Vols and Buckeyes will battle tonight in the first round of the college football playoff.
It wasn't the prettiest game for the Vols, but it was anything you really could have wanted. I mean, you talk about Tennessee being an everything school, and Tennessee football was included in that mix too, because of the way Nico Iamaleava led.
Tennessee's slow starts this season has been nothing new, but usually they find their groove in the second half. Here on Saturday night in Columbus, the Vols just never got in rhythm. Tennessee quarterback Nico Iamaleava, the bright spot in a dark game here at Ohio Stadium. The redshirt freshman using his legs, rushing it 20 times for 47 yards and 2 touchdowns. The offensive line didn't do him any favors, getting sacked 4 times, and it all adds up to the Vols ending their season here at Ohio Stadium.
That playoff run didn't go the way they wanted, but just getting there in and of itself was a big accomplishment, and people credited a lot of that to Nico.
I know that kid's a special kid, uber talented, like, you know, one of the most talented football players I've ever been around. And his maturity at a young age is really impressive too. So when you mix all that stuff together, it always breeds a positive result, and I know he's going to be great.
So, you know, use this as motivation, man. We've been putting in work since January, you know, to get to this point, and, you know, it sucks to go out that way, you know, because that's not who we are, man. You know, I love this team. I love the team we have, and, you know, just the way tonight went was not the way, you know, we wanted it to go, and we'll use that as fuel, motivation during this offseason to really hit it.
I think from a team perspective, he did play really well. It is really hard for a freshman to come in. You play in front of 102,000 people in the toughest conference in the country, and to be lights out, I mean, that's going to be really hard. Whether you're Arch Manning or Nico Iamaleava, like, it's really a tough job. Everyone keeps going back to he had 19 touchdowns this last season, which is a good number, but he didn't do the one thing he was supposed to do, which was be a volunteer.
Nearly a third of all states have signed name, image, and likeness bills into law, giving college athletes a chance to earn money through scholarships and advertising, just to name a few.
Let's put this in perspective for our viewers who don't know about NIL and just its global impact on college athletics. If 1 is not so much on the scale, 10 is the biggest seismic event in college athletics, where would you put it? What number?
I might joke and say an 11, but we'll go with a 10. It definitely has been some of called revolutionary. Usually we get it called the Wild Wild West. We're talking about everything from a free meal all the way up to 6-figure deals in a year. So it is an entire spectrum that really covers almost everything you can think of.
That money comes from businesses that want to partner with him and individual donors to the collective.
And a collective is more or less a marketing agency that really focuses on one school in particular. It may be more Instagram focused, more TikTok focused, where they're really targeting certain demographics.
I think we talk about leading the way in college sports around here, and in NIL, I know that we've done that. We have some really good organized collectives in town.
I truly believe that college football, especially in America, is a billion-dollar industry. Everyone on Saturdays, that's what they're doing. I went to an SEC school, I went to Tennessee, so I understand how much time and resources is put into a college football Saturday. So I think they should be paid 100%. Like if ESPN's making X amount of $1 billion off of them, they should totally get a cut of that. But I can see on the opposite side what this kind of creates. It creates a whole pay-to-play mindset.
You cannot even begin to compare the incentives today to where I was playing. I mean, not even close. But, you know, it's just part of the evolving of the game. But my concern is the fact that there's not a limit and there's no way of really curtailing the spending. So I really worry about that, because an 18-year-old kid with a lot of money, it's not good. I know I couldn't have handled it.
They put in years of hard work and sweat to achieve the level of proficiency in their respective sport, and now they are being compensated as a result of the public recognition of their success.
There's money out there, and a lot of players are seeking their value because nothing's guaranteed in pro sports.
Tony Vitello not the only guy on campus making a lot of money, except Nico Iamaleava making his through his NIL. And yeah, these Beats by Dre headphones are a thing that he gifted it to his teammates, and they're designed all in orange and white.
Those are legit. Yeah, man, those are nice. I've never seen something like that. Nice and Nico. And to be like actual Tennessee on it, that's pretty cool.
You can't really think about Tennessee NIL and not think about quarterback Nico Iamaleava.
I don't think it can be stressed enough that Nico comes from a very NIL-friendly state. And we're trending ever so closely, Frank, to really having college football separated in and of itself. And that pertains to NIL issues, that pertains to player compensation in general, that pertains to revenue and the potential out there for revenue distribution. That's another issue at the forefront. Football is almost going to have to separate itself if it adopts a revenue sharing model and adopts a salary model, or continues to spend very significant funds on its student athletes, because football funds at Tennessee, I think it funds 92% of all athletics programs.
But you know, something about Tennessee football, it's just so dramatic and there's always so much chaos. It's one of those things that you're like, this stuff, you just can't make it up, and this would only happen to Tennessee.
Tennessee's had some crazy stuff happen within the program, but I would definitely say this Nico situation is one of the most dramatic quarterback situations in all of program history.
We had kind of heard that he was thinking about leaving. There was a bunch of emoji stuff on Twitter back in December, if you remember. He was putting some emojis on Instagram. And of course, if you know Vol Twitter at all, they were freaking out. Like, he's gone, he's gone, he's gone. But nothing was official.
Breaking this afternoon, Tennessee quarterback Nico Iamaleava did not show up to spring practice today. That's according to ESPN writer Pete Thamel. We did reach out to UT to ask if the quarterback did show up to practice, but the folks there declined to comment. Tomorrow is the orange and white game, and Pete Thamel also reported that he has been in conversations with Tennessee about a new contract. We did ask UT Athletics about that yesterday, and again, we're told no comment.
And all of this just a couple of days after Nico's dad profusely denied his son's potential departure from the university. In a post on X, his dad called out an On3 Sports reporter and pushed back on the contract chatter. He responded to a different reporter on X, denying the rumors, saying more games being played off the field than on the field. He went on to say, I told him I had no idea on what he's talking about, so y'all can ask them what's going on, because it ain't from us.
Whenever the news broke, it was kind of like, is this really happening? Because I feel like everyone from our perspective thought we had moved past this, right? He's in contract negotiations, and from my understanding, Tennessee was not going to blink an eye. They were going to meet him at $4 million. And then Friday, he didn't show up to practice. And then it was like, holy crap, this is a completely different ball game.
To say that you're worth $4 million a year as a redshirt freshman quarterback who got knocked out of the college football playoff in the first round, it wasn't even a competitive game. You know, you led your team to a 10-2 season, but I don't know. I don't understand how $2.5 million a year isn't enough.
And then you go on Twitter and the fans, at first they're like, pay him his money, right? We love him, we want to keep him. And then they're like, oh my gosh, well, he didn't show up, you know, screw him, essentially.
That's your quarterback. You know, when he doesn't show up, well, how does that set the standard for every other player who comes into this room? From your quarterback, you expect more. And when he drops all lines of communication with players, with coaches, with anybody, not even a goodbye, Josh Heupel said that's when he knew that they were going to part ways, that it was going to be over.
And some fans wasted zero time trashing their number 8 jerseys. If you take a scroll through just about any social media site, you'll see a post from someone in Vol Nation. Some Big Orange fans are offloading their Nico gear for less than a roll of decent toilet paper. And others, like this one, are shooting their shot, asking for $4 million. It's a not so subtle swipe at how much Nico reportedly wanted in NIL money. And here's another one from Facebook. Yeah, you're seeing that right. Some fans are straight up torching all their Nico gear.
I think it's just betrayal.
And I think to play for Tennessee, you need to love Tennessee and not
just
be in it
leave
for the
for
money.
more money. Yeah.
So now we're going to get an even better quarterback.
What was supposed to be just a normal orange and white game transpired into this dramatic situation that pretty much left Tennessee without a quarterback.
Normally at the orange and white game, they actually play 11 on 11, offense versus defense. On Saturday, they didn't. We actually saw more of like a practice style. It almost felt like the air had left the building. You know, it felt very deflated. You had Josh Dobbs there. You had a lot of VFLs there. Hendon Hooker was there that I think kind of gave the fans some energy. But, you know, something like this, obviously, it is heartbreaking.
You're speechless. Yeah, I don't really know what to say about it.
Was it a shock to you at all?
Yeah, I just don't know why he would give up on us like that.
I think it's pretty bad on the shadow that it puts over what today represents of the orange and white game. It's supposed to showcase the talent that Tennessee's got this season and what kind of team we're going to have. I hate that for him, you know, somebody that's putting money before loyalty, and that's exactly what he's doing. He Lane Kiffin us. He left in the middle of the night, you know, for a sweeter deal.
The night Lane Kiffin left, everybody was like, you know what, go. And there was some pain after that. But I think this program is in a much better place right now to move forward because of the leadership, both at the university and in the football program, to continue moving forward towards your goals.
Today's landscape of college football is different than what it has been. You know, it's unfortunate, you know, just the situation and where we're at with Nico. I want to thank him for everything that he's done since he's gotten here. You know, that's as a recruit to who he was as a player and how he competed inside of the building.
Tennessee fans are yearning to have a quarterback to fall in love with. Like, we want to have a Peyton Manning. We want to get behind someone. So if Nico's not that person, that's fine, but let's go find that person. I think that's one thing that maybe Nico didn't do, is he didn't embrace being a Vol. If you love this place, it will love you back.
Do you think that Tennessee made the right decision in letting him walk?
100%. Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Bye, didn't need you anyway.
You know, I said it to the guys today. There's no one that's bigger than the Power T, and that includes me. It's going to be around a long time after I'm done and after they're gone, and that's what's, you know, special about being here.
I think Tennessee did the right thing, saying that no, we're putting our foot down, like we're not going to play this game. But it'll be interesting to see if that sets a precedent. It'll also be really interesting to see who takes him after this, because you have to understand, if you're going to welcome that into your locker room, what could that do to your team? Do I think it was crappy? Yeah, of course. But also, I think that's what college football is now. It's a business, which is fine. If you want to get your check, go for it. But, you know, whoever comes next should be happy to be here, should be proud to be here. And I know the fans will rally behind them 1,000 times more.
Right now, Tennessee has 2 scholarship quarterbacks on the roster, redshirt freshman Jake Merklinger and true freshman George McIntyre, a 5-star recruit out of high school. Outside of those 2, that's it. The Vols don't have another quarterback.
I thought they did a really good job today for the most part. Obviously, Merck had the 1 pick, but, you know, they moved the football, made plays, thought they used their feet. Obviously, they weren't live. They're going to have to learn how to protect themselves out in space. But it was a great day for both of them as young players, being out in front of that crowd, having to be the guy and go operate.
I think the biggest thing is this was a national story. We haven't seen a quarterback go through a holdout on a college campus.
So now you're looking at schools who don't even want to pay you what you were getting paid at Tennessee. I don't know. I think it might backfire, but like, we don't know all the ins and outs of these conversations. I can't just call him up on the phone and be like, hey, what's going on, you know? So yeah, I don't know. He was a talent that is likely just going to continue to grow. Could have continued to grow with a really great program at Tennessee, but, you know, will have to grow elsewhere. But I can assume that he will. If that's his performance in his first year as a starter, and he was only a redshirt freshman, I can't imagine, what he's going to be able to do and where his future will take him.
Just into our newsroom, former Tennessee quarterback Nico Iamaleava is going to UCLA. That's according to the Volume Sports founder Colin Cowherd. Joining us now is 10 Sports reporter Emily Ray Cochran with more on the big news today. Emily.
Yeah, Brittany, the ex-Tennessee quarterback hit the transfer portal this morning and found his new home before dinner time. Nico Iamaleava is going to be a Bruin, and he'll be their next quarterback per, as you mentioned, Colin Cowherd.
Colin Cowherd also reported that Nico's family says it's not about the money. It's more about Tennessee's offense. Nico wrapped up his freshman season throwing for 2,616 yards and 19 touchdowns. Nico not wasting any time getting out of Knoxville either. Our crew caught up with his family, helping him move out of his apartment in Fountain City. They told us Nico is not around, but they were there to help with the U-Haul. Of course, we will see who the Vols will pick up in the transfer portal.